What's up, everybody? This is 49ers Coast to Coast. I'm the West Coast correspondent, Grant Cohn. That's the East Coast correspondent, Jason Aponte. We got breaking news today. Mel Kiper, God love him, came out with a mock draft that I can't read because you have to pay for it. Would you ever pay to read a mock draft, Jason?
I wouldn't, but I would steal it from someone who did pay for it on Twitter and then look at it.
That's what I did as well. And apparently the Niners trade up to number 7 to get Justin Fields. I don't exactly know the trade compensation that it would cost the Niners to get up to number 7. Did you see that much?
I think I did. I'd have to look it up. There was a clip of it floating around where, it was a trade with the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
And so that means it's 7, right? So
Okay.
So Mel Kiper believes that Justin Fields will be there at 7, which it's February, and I don't think that that's true, but I don't think that's pretty much what he said. Yeah.
I don't think that's true either.
I think no, it doesn't. It just says San Francisco trade. It doesn't say what the compensation was that was given up.
Okay. You don't think he's going to number 7, do you? Dropping to number 7?
No, I don't think he makes it to 7. No, especially with Atlanta being there at 4. It's really tough. The stance that I've taken is that the 49ers need to get into the top 3, and that means Miami, right? So you got to hope what they're saying about Tua is truthful, right? Yeah. That they believe in him and they don't want to go get a quarterback. Right, exactly. So again, February 25th, we're trying to sift through all the smoke screens and all the things that the GM talk, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, at this point, I would say that they probably have to get into that top 3 if they want to get a shot at Justin Fields, because there's no way he makes it to 7, in my opinion.
Yeah, just looking at the landscape right now, the history of what type of quarterbacks go high in the draft, just seems like he's the kind of guy who's going to go number 2. He's getting the brunt of the scrutiny right now, just because he's been the consensus number 2 guy for ever. And Zach Wilson's kind of come on lately. But I think as people start to look into Zach Wilson, he's going to actually be affected more by the scrutiny, because he's the one who's more like Josh Rosen. He's the one with the rich uncle who you got to wonder, does he need football? All those questions that Josh Rosen had to deal with, I think, are going to apply to Zach Wilson, not Justin Fields. So Zach Wilson will get his turn, and Justin Fields' stock will probably go back up. But you and I were arguing on Twitter this weekend about not arguing. That's what's a different word. We were sharing.
We were debating. We were conversing.
Okay. About Justin Fields, and I actually think Justin Fields is the most interesting prospect in the draft.
Right.
He's very interesting. He's almost like a Rorschach test, and I know you like him. So I know we talked about him last week, but he's now the topic of conversation. That if he does fall to 7, I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners moved up to get him. So why would that be a good move in your opinion? If he were to fall to 7, the Niners to go up to get him. Why do you like him so much?
Well, in terms of what the quarterback is, right, with the skills, right, I think that it was Mel Kiper who, let's be frank, right, Mel Kiper, while he's respected in this industry, doesn't always get it right, doesn't always have the best takes, because nobody ever really gets it right. So I'm not trying to use Mel Kiper as gospel, but I did this one thing that he said really stood out to me, and it kind of made something click in my brain when I did my evaluation of him. Was you can't evaluate what the guy does, you have to be able to project. And I know that sounds stupid, because you're trying to project something that you have no control over or anything like that, but I think that's what it is. And I think that this period in between right now in the draft is a lot of over-analysis at this point. People are bored. They're looking for things to nitpick, right? The same concerns that everybody has are still there, but now they're coming up with new concerns. And it's so eerily similar to what happened with Deshaun Watson and what they said about Deshaun Watson. Same thing. One read, this, that, boom, boom, he falls. And now look, everybody wants Deshaun Watson. So, there is parallels between that and what's being said about Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson. What I like about the kid is he's not a one-read guy. That's not true. What happens is, and again, this is information that I learned from other people who are smarter than I am, who have access to playbooks, and who actually understand concepts. Is it Shane Day? Which Day is it? That's the
Ryan Day.
Ryan Day.
It's Ryan Day. Yeah.
Ryan Day. Okay. Not
which
exactly.
Day is it? It's Sunday.
Right. Not exactly the best. Right. We saw him with Chip Kelly. Right. So a lot of his routes are downfield. Take a ton of time to develop. Some of them are choice routes where the receivers are not declaring in time, and Justin Fields has to hold the ball a little bit longer. So if you think that he's holding the ball because he can't get through his reads, you might be right on certain instances, but other instances you can see receivers not declaring where they need to go. So I think that's a little bit overblown and overstated as well too. So
also people calling a quarterback a one-read quarterback, no one's a one-read quarterback. You can always find examples of a quarterback going to a second read. And so when you call someone that, it's overly reduction. Yeah, it's not fair. It's not really fair. What do you really mean?
The other thing is that most college quarterbacks are one read because they make them the first read, right? Like that's the thing. It's again, you can't use what's going on. You have to be able to project, right? And I've seen him be able to do that. Like I've seen him 1, 2, and then the 3 guy up top and go, and this is in the Clemson game, hit a shot over the middle. So, I'm with the kid. Basically me being in on the kid has a lot to do with his physical skills. Yes. But again, I'm coming to you in a roster construction, from a roster construction point of view. Yes. You're talking about being able to have a quarterback who is cost controlled, and you and I have discussed how much that matters, right? Sure. He's cost controlled. You do whatever you want with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm done speculating on that. I'm not going to talk about whether he should be cut or traded, whatever. But that money that you can get out of right now is so vital in a year where the salary cap is down. I'm not talking about anything other than roster construction. Okay, roster construction. You can bring other guys back, and it's so funny how the perfect storm of Jimmy Garoppolo's out, this quarterback group, and the salary cap have all come together for this scenario now, right? If you don't move off of Jimmy now, it becomes far harder down the line. And next year's class, I could be wrong, isn't filled with the guys that I think are in this class. This is why I think all of these things matter right now in terms of what they should be doing.
Okay, let me raise my concerns with Justin Fields. And because again, any team that takes him, that trades up to 7 for him, has to at least answer these questions. So this is why I have concerns about Justin Fields. I think he's the most physically gifted quarterback in this class. In terms of raw tools, I think he has the best ones. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. Yeah, for sure.
I think he's stronger than Trevor Lawrence, faster than Trevor Lawrence. His arm is just as strong. Theoretically, he has the most upside in the draft. But you mentioned, he's cost controlled. Really important to have a cost controlled quarterback this year. Yes, I agree. But to me, he's a toolsy project who could pay off in year 2, maybe year 3, like Josh Allen. Now, his tools aren't on the Josh Allen level, but they're very good. If Josh Allen's an A+, this guy's an A- or an A, maybe an A-. So that's how I look at him. Like, I don't expect Justin Fields to come onto this team or any team and tear it up as a rookie, because this is what I see. For a kid who played on an all-star team in college, one of the 4, 5, 6 all-star teams in college, he didn't get a lot of experience. Not his fault. I mean, the COVID thing wiped out half of this season. So he ends up with 22 starts, not a ton. He does seem like when he's presented with pressure, sometimes he doesn't respond that well to it, which is the mark of an inexperienced quarterback. It doesn't mean he won't be good. I just feel like if he's the starter next year, there's no guarantee the Niners are going to go to the playoffs or even have a winning record. And that's not necessarily a reason not to draft a quarterback, but I'm just trying to be clear on what he is. Like, when he's compared to Deshaun Watson, I missed on Watson. But in retrospect, you could say Watson was pretty developed coming out of college, that he pretty much hit the ground running. And so did Dak Prescott, and so did Mahomes to an extent after sitting a year. Because when you look back, they had a lot of experience, which counts. And Justin Fields just doesn't have it. So to me, if you go for Justin Fields, you got to be committed to the long development, and you can't be scared after year 1 or year 2 if he has a Josh Allen type of year. That's all I'm saying.
And I think that that's a great point. But I also think that this regime would be tied to him with the QB collective stuff. And Kyle's been on him the entire time. That's another thing. Kyle just didn't wake up, this year and say, let's start looking at Justin Fields. They know exactly what Justin Fields is. And if they are, I'm not speculating. I don't know anything clearly. If they are looking up, they've considered all that, and they understand exactly what they would do with him. It's just the issue that I have with the whole idea of drafting Justin Fields and then running it with Jimmy is now you've got a $27 million placeholder, and I hate that idea, okay? Now, if Justin Fields is the starter, maybe this team is a playoff team, but if they show things going in the right direction, that's what you really want, because you can have years of him being cost controlled. And then if the cap goes up, now you're really talking about building this roster. Again, this is purely from a roster construction point of view. That's it. That's really all it is.
It just seems to me that if they keep Jimmy Garoppolo and trade up for Justin Fields, if that's their plan, like bring in the heir apparent, let him develop, and when Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt, throw him in there. It seems to me you're kind of creating a situation like you created that they had in Philly, where the first pick doesn't help Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a bad pass protecting the offensive line. You're kind of like setting Jimmy Garoppolo up to fail. You're dividing the locker room. I mean, there are worse things you could do. It just reminds me of that a little bit. Riding the fence again with Jimmy G, bringing in a guy who doesn't help him, and he's a project. That's, guess, my issue. I mean, when you compare him to Deshaun Watson, you compare him to Cam Newton, Dak Prescott, all these guys I think were pretty ready to go when they came to the NFL. And when I watched Justin Fields, I feel like when you watch the coach's tape, he'll pass up open receivers a fair amount. And it doesn't mean he won't be good. It's just, again, the mark of an inexperienced quarterback who trusts his legs pretty much.
You can pretty much say the inexperienced thing for almost everybody except for Trevor Lawrence at this point, right? Because of the year and all that stuff. So you're taking a shot on almost any of these guys, right?
Yeah.
And one more thing that I think I had in my mind, I think it's gone. Whatever, it'll come back to me in a second.
Yeah, if they go into look, I know he was a QB collective guy, and it almost feels like that Shanahan and his dad were like, go to Georgia, go learn how to be in a pro style offense. It'll be good for you. And then he goes to Ohio State, which to me, if I were the coach, it's like, man, I mean, that's good for you. You were in the Heisman conversation. You were on TV a lot. Look at your draft stock. It's great. Jacob Eason went to Washington and it blew up in his face. So you did the right thing for you. I just feel like Ohio State does very little to prepare quarterbacks for the NFL. And that's too bad. It's not Justin Fields' fault. And the last thing I want to say about Fields is like, okay, so he's a project. And we agree that he might take his lumps early on, and that's okay. But are the 49ers the best place for a project quarterback? I know you say, yeah, I mean, they got a good scheme. They got good playmakers. I would argue they don't have good pass protection. That's tough. That's a guy who could get hit a lot as a rookie. And while they do have a good scheme, they have an impatient head coach who really harps on mistakes. So I don't know. What do you think of that?
So here's my thing is, this is why I want Justin Fields, because you have to bring Trent Williams back. You have to be able to fix this line. Like, this is it, man. Like, to keep Jimmy G and to let Trent Williams walk is almost cutting your nose off to spite your face at this point.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense, right? And it's not anything that Jimmy Garoppolo did. Like I said, this is all a perfect storm of his contract out, COVID, this draft, and this class, right? Like, all of this matches up, right? The thing that I'll say is this. Whatever you do with Jimmy Garoppolo is fine. I would not be averse to drafting Justin Fields, making sure you bring Trent Williams back, fortifying this line with, let's say, an Alex Mack and wherever else you feel your upgrades are, and signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, letting him start for a little bit and see what happens.
I'm with that. I'll take it a step further. Fitzpatrick is one, Andy Dalton's another, but I got a third name, and people are not that enthusiastic about him anymore. But honestly, if the options are trade up to number 7 for Justin Fields, which I'm not super enthusiastic about for the reasons I've laid out for the last 10 minutes, or give a 1-year, $3 million contract to Cam Newton, what's the difference, man? One guy's has way more tread on the tires, and he's been through some surgeries and stuff, but Cam doesn't need any development. Cam is Cam. Justin Fields isn't really Justin Fields yet.
Right.
If they're into Justin Fields and they think they can make it work with him, bring in Cam.
And here's the other thing about Cam, right? Like, I know, what you saw last year, at times even I was like, oh my goodness. But here's the thing. Kyle running RPO, running, those play actions, having a great running game and everything as well. Cam would be fine. He would be fine. I wanted to dispel the notion, England,
man. There were none.
Right, none. I want to dispel the notion that Cam is absolutely washed, because those weapons in New England after Edelman went down were even worse than Tom Brady had, and Tom Brady struggled.
Yeah.
So look,
if they take Fields, I'm cool with that. Just cut Jimmy and sign Cam. I think Cam will be a good mentor for Fields.
Wildly inaccurate at times. Yes, all those things are still there for Cam and everything as well. I would lean Fitzpatrick because of what I saw last year, especially in an offense that wasn't. It's not high flying. Chan Gailey was, very much in his old school bag, So I just think that Ryan Fitzpatrick gives you a shot to at least make the playoffs while Justin Fields is behind him. And he's done it before where he's been a placeholder for other people. So that's just a name to throw out there. True. Like if I had to rank it, I'd probably say Fitz, Cam, and then Dalton, honestly, of those three, if we were doing that.
I just feel like Cam would be a good fit if you go into business with Justin Fields, because the offense would change a little bit for Justin Fields. There'd be more quarterback runs, and now Cam could do that same kind of stuff. Ryan Fitzpatrick wouldn't. Fitzpatrick's a better quarterback than Cam Newton, but
I think so too.
But even though Cam, what playmakers has he ever played with? Ever?
Good point.
Greg Olsen? Even at Auburn, there was no one. So
when they went 15-1, Kelvin Benjamin got hurt. It was Devin Funches, Jonathan Stewart, Philly Brown. Yeah. I mean, yes, man. You're absolutely right about that. And they went 15-1 that year, but because their defense was incredible and Cam was incredible that year.
I'm not the biggest Cam fan, but if you're going to talk me into Justin Fields, then I'm going to be like, well, then in that case, I like Cam Newton too, and he's cheaper. because these rookie wage scale quarterbacks aren't expensive, but they're not super cheap either. I mean, they're about what, 5, 6, 7, 8 million plus the draft picks. So it's something to think. A little alternative. Let's move on. Yeah, let's move. Okay. This Russell Wilson news. He listed 4 teams that it sounds like he wants out of Seattle, and he's doing it in like kind of a polite milquetoasty vanilla way. Like, hi, I would really appreciate a trade.
Let me when I read that, let me tell you what went off in my mind. And I almost went to walk to my wife to test this out. Honey, I love you. I want to be here. But if these 4 other women pop up, I'm out. Okay? If Darlene down the street says that I'm available, I'm out.
But
I'm committed, but if Darlene down the street,
here's the list.
Mary across town says I'm out. Yeah. That's basically what that's.
And I got a lead on both of them. Like, they texted me last night. I'm feeling pretty good about it. But you're my safety.
I just want to make sure that you're aware.
Yeah. But it's business. No, absolutely. That's pretty much where they're at. So it seems like a breakup's inevitable. And from the way I look at it, if I were running the Seahawks, I would want to trade him. They've tried it so many times to win with him making all this money, and they can't. Like, their formula is strong defense, strong running game, athlete quarterback who's not super polished. I mean, he's not the engine of the team over there. Like, they might be able to do pretty well with a guy like Justin Fields. They should do that. Like, trade Russell Wilson for the number 2 pick if you can. But that doesn't concern the Niners. What I'm looking is, he lists the Raiders. He lists a bunch of teams that maybe, the Raiders in particular, like, are they going to trade Derek Carr back to Seattle? Would Seattle even want him? Or can the Niners swoop in there on a 3-way? And would you want Derek Carr? Because to me, he is certainly an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. No question about it.
He may be, but how often do these 3 teams trades happen where like franchise quarterbacks are swapped around, right? So like that,
0%
I love the thought, the hypothetical, right? Like, that's cool. It's just, I think the best thing about this would be that Russell Wilson leaves this division. Like, I just don't want him here anymore. Yeah. Like, I don't want him in this division. I don't want to see him 2 times a year. I don't want to see him with the ball in his hands with a game-winning drive. He was, you know what? Here's another thing. For as much blame as Russell Wilson is given to his offensive line, he has to own the way that he played the last 8 games. You had Rich Madrid on recently, right? And he just did a whole thread of showing Russell Wilson turning down open throws and running into sacks and running out of the pocket, and he was awful. Now, you want to blame that on Brian Schottenheimer? Be my guest. But there's a lot of things that he needs to take ownership of. That's why, if you notice, one of his linemen, right after he said that, like tweeted like a facepalm emoji, because it's like, bro, if I block for you for 2 seconds, that's all you're going to get pretty much anywhere that you're going. You have to get rid of the ball. And Russell Wilson needs to own the fact that he just wasn't good down the stretch. As good as he was to start the season, that's how bad he was to end the season.
To me, it looked like he was trying to play like he did when he was 25, 26, and he was discovering that he's no longer as quick as he used to be. He just can't make he can't make 3 or 4 guys miss in the backfield like he used to.
So Russell Wilson doesn't take hits on scrambles. He takes hits in the pocket. Don't act like that. He doesn't feel that all the time, and he hasn't been hurt by them. So that's the thing, right? Like, for him to blame the offensive line, sure, you can in instances, but you got to own a lot of what you did this year too, because you were not good down the stretch.
So do you think that he ends up getting traded this year to a team outside of the division and the Seahawks fall off?
Yeah, for sure.
Possible, right?
We've said that this team is a 6-win team, 5-win team without Russell Wilson. And even as bad as he played, they still won games down the line. And that was because of him. Like, yeah, they'll go right in the tank. They'll immediately become the worst team in the division. Immediately.
Interesting. Well, that bodes well for the Niners, because right now they look like the worst team in the division with the worst quarterback in the division. But see, I don't
know about that one. I would say Arizona's probably the worst team in the division still too right now. I mean, you can make the argument that Jimmy's the 4th best in the division,
that's
but
true.
I wouldn't say
I just expect Arizona to make moves in free agency because they have they don't have it. How do they not?
No, it's
have
not that.
Man?
It's not that they don't have it. They still got Cliff. But that's sucks. It, man. I cannot get behind that team if Cliff is there, man. I can't. I just can't. He's awful.
Yeah, he really is awful. I like when they go spread 5 wide, all curls, though. That's money.
Yeah, I love it when they line up DeAndre Hopkins on the left side and make him run
every single play. Yeah. Okay, so hold on. My prediction. I mean, he could go to the Raiders, but I think you have to have like a real high draft pick to get Russell Wilson, because this team's going to want a replacement. And to me, it's such a natural to send him to the Jets, which is just, career suicide for Russell Wilson. Good luck with the Jets and Robert Saleh throwing to whoever you got over there. And then they can get the number 2 pick and take Justin Fields.
Well, they have the second most cap space behind the Jets.
The Jets.
Yes, the Jets.
The Jets.
So if they bring Russell Wilson, they bring in a quarterback. Allen Robinson will probably be there. This guy will probably be there. So that's the thing, right? And then again, this is what's cool about these hypotheticals on February 25th. Things, as soon as free agency opens up, then needs start to open up. And there's going to be a lot of prime free agents on this market because of people getting under that cap number. So we're like just in the beginning of one of the craziest off seasons of all time based on COVID and based on everybody trying to get under this. So I understand the thought process of, hey, the Jets end people's careers and things like that. But I think there's a new, man in town. So Saleh and McDaniel, you run a Shanahan offense, you put some pieces around them. It's got to be better than it was before. But I agree with you. The stigma of that franchise is still there, and it's still very prevalent.
The only thing that might hold back Pete Carroll from sending Russell Wilson to the Jets is he may not want to set up his Robert Saleh to look better than him and be better than him. But look, I still think that that's what's going to happen, unless you think there's another one. And I think it'll be interesting. You like the Niners to move up for Justin Fields.
I do.
It's possible that they'll be facing him twice a season for the foreseeable future.
Cool.
But they'll have Jimmy Garoppolo, so it's all good. So don't worry about it.
You had to say that last part, didn't you?
Eric Rucker has a question, which makes it. We'll just jump ahead to it. Okay. John Lynch posturing. Yeah, that was one of our questions. Are the 49ers really keeping Jimmy Garoppolo or simply posturing? What do you think?
They're posturing. If they wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to stay, they would have restructured his deal to save up all the money and just move
Thank you. Say it again, because that's the only point that needs to be made.
If he's not restructured and you're not talking about saving the money this year and having him down the line, all you're doing is saying words. That's it. Stop arguing with me on Twitter.
He's 100% right, folks. This is the deal. If you don't understand, this is what happened. They went to the Super Bowl. They gave out extensions galore for losing the Super Bowl. It was like Oprah throwing out extensions. You get an extension, Kyle Shanahan. You get an extension, John Lynch. You get an extension, George Kittle. Jimmy Garoppolo? Ooh, nah. Sorry, you didn't do enough. You're just not that good. You didn't even lead us to the Super Bowl. What is the phrase they used? He helped us get there. He was
the quarterback of the team.
He was the quarterback of the team. So everyone got an extension except for that poor Jimmy G. And that's all you need to know. That is their statement on him. Everyone else proved something to Jed York and the front office except Jimmy G. All right, then move on.
Yeah, and I hate when people are like, oh, why are you saying, what is he supposed to say? Because, what is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, we're looking to move up in the draft so everybody knows? We're looking to shop him everywhere else so everybody knows. Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't understand why you guys, are not getting this part, man. I really don't. Go ahead.
Nothing. I'll just say, I will watch JC
against Auburn next.
We got you. Appreciate you, man. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, they're absolutely posturing. It's like Jimmy Garoppolo has no trade value because of the 49ers, because they're so transparent, right? And they like being transparent. It's like it'll create goodwill with the media. Let's be a little more transparent than the other teams. Okay, but now everyone knows how you feel about Jimmy Garoppolo, especially how Kyle feels about Jimmy Garoppolo. So now Lynch is coming out and talking on the radio and saying, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to be our quarterback. I believe it, even though he also said stuff like, oh, yeah, like Joe Staley's coming back. And so is DeForest Buckner. He's just going out and basically trying to do what's best for the team or what's best for his resume.
Right. And John Lynch is there to handle these questions and be in front of the media and be the face, and say these things. Again, he's not going to give anybody any sort of plans that are going on. Whether that's true or not, we'll find out in a little while. But I don't, again, until you restructure, until you put your money where your mouth is, actions are always going to speak louder than words. Stop repeating the same quote over and over.
Right.
And do something. If Jimmy's going to be your guy and you really believe in him, restructure him then. You know why you haven't done it? Because you don't believe it.
Right. Right. End of story. So I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear any more campaigns about how much you like him. Just stop talking about him. Just stop saying it until you do something. Yeah. John Lynch, we don't believe you, man. No one believes you.
We don't.
Not even your most loyal Jimmy Garoppolo fans. They just don't.
And look, I tend to stay away from other podcasts because I want to keep my thoughts clear. And if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong on my own. I don't want to take anyone else's thoughts and have that seep into my brain, right?
Yeah.
But if you listen to other people who, not Schefter, not Rappaport, right? Because they have a brand to make sure that they keep by saying the status quo. Other guys who are pretty tapped in on other podcasts, nobody believes that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be here next year. Nobody. So that's the thing. It's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else's opinion doesn't matter, But I feel like everybody knows that the 49ers are trying to move on from Garoppolo, and that's why you have to make these statements.
Right.
You have to say these things. You have to.
Like last year when Joe Staley was making it clear to the Niners that he was going to retire, and John Lynch was not revealing that to the media, and he even said like, "Yeah, I haven't heard anything that would." He basically came out the next day and was like, "Look, guys, I'm sorry I lied to you. You know, it's nothing personal. You know how it goes. I can't let the whole world know that we're in the market for a left tackle. I mean, I can't let everyone know. And I think that's the position the Niners in now. Like the whole world knows they're in the market for a quarterback, that they want to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and they want to draft one in the upcoming draft. So that means people are going to gouge them in the trades when they move. If you want to get Fields, well, you're going to need more because you're desperate. And no one's going to actually offer anything from Jimmy Garoppolo because they just assume you're going to cut him anyway. So this is the stupid stuff you got to do. It's right. Posturing and it may not work. If it does, give the dude a gold star.
Right. And here's the question, Grant. Why would someone trade for $25 million, man? I don't a guy look and the same concerns that we have about his injuries. You don't think that everybody else noticed that? Look, he didn't just start getting hurt here. He was hurt in New England. Every other year he's hurt. You cannot put this much money and sink this much cost into the most important position on your team when the guy cannot stay on the field. I don't get it, guys. I really don't. If last year he balled out like he did in 2019, we're not having this discussion. But what happened? He got injured twice. Yeah. And again, you cannot continue to waste that money. You can't.
And that's the thing. Like, people forget that. He didn't get injured once. He got injured twice last year. It's not like he had one fluke injury in 2018. No. He got hurt. He's been hurt 4 times as a starter. The shoulder, the knee, the ankle twice. He's only played 30 games. I'm sorry, man. Brett Favre never missed a game. Phillip Rivers never missed a game.
Russell Wilson's never missed a game.
Yeah, if you're the quarterback who plays half the games, you're just not a starting quarterback. You're the next backup.
Russ has been sacked more than anybody in the world, and he continues to play. I mean,
he's
I don't
played
know.
On high ankle sprains. I know they're not all the same and stuff, but he's played on high ankle sprains.
The dude got hit with a concussion, jumped into the blue tent, jumped right back out because he said he drank some Jesus water. Like, I don't even know. Like, that's absolutely true too. Actually, Grant, that's
amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
It is.
I've never tried Jesus water.
Inspirational. It's better than Michael's space stuff from Space Jam or whatever.
Is it better than Fiji water? Because Fiji water is really good.
Fiji water is really good because it's super expensive. It really is, man.
I saw the reason I get it. I was watching that show Behind Hip Hop or whatever that show is on FX, the new show that's supposed to be
on Hulu. I've been watching it.
Yeah, so it's mostly about like the gangsters behind hip hop, and this one guy, Big U or whatever. The funniest part, he goes back to his house in South Central or whatever, and he's holding a bottle of Perrier. I was like, man, that's the most gangster thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna start walking around with Perrier because that's just the most expensive water you could have.
That's a flex.
What a flex. Like, oh yeah, man, I only drink Perrier, baby.
If I see you walking around with Perrier, I think I'll put it on you.
I might just hit you with this bottle, or I might just sip some delicious water that's fizzy. I don't know. I haven't made up my freaking mind yet. Dana Harvey says middle late round quarterback option. Your thoughts on Ritter? He didn't declare.
No, Ritter's
middle late round quarterback option that I like is Jamie Newman. I watched him yesterday, not as a quarterback, but as a Taysom Hill Wildcat option, like offensive weapon. That dude really is a hell of a runner. I think he could be a guy that like plays a bunch of different positions and throws down. He's a one read guy.
Well, but, I mean, you cut off for a little bit. I'm sorry.
I'm saying I like Jamie Newman as a Taysom Hill type late on day 3. Anyone that you know on? I mean, day 3 type.
Yeah, I mean he's very, very much a project. You know, six round, 7th round, you don't feel bad about it because those guys rarely hit anyway, right? So I don't mind that idea. You know, I'm coming around to that idea more. That's not the preferred plan, but you know. I see what you're saying.
I'm just thinking a creative coach like Kyle Shanahan, who has a run first offense anyway. He could use the Taysom Hill type. And I know that Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan steal from each other all the time because they're two of the best and they respect each other and they both have kind of an under center 2-back offense. If it works for Sean Payton, it could work for Kyle. I just don't know if Jamie Newman has. The thing about Taysom Hill is people don't realize how athletic he is. He ran a 4.45. It's like, I don't know if Jamie Newman's going to do that. But if he does, I'd be interested.
See, in Mobile, Jamie Newman would make a throw where you were just like, holy. And then the next throw, you'd go, good God, what was that? Like, it's the extreme. It's like great, and then it's just awful. Like, there's no in between from what I saw in Mobile.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But I think if you were to go with like a quarterback by committee, a platoon, where you had a dude like, you know, Josh Rosen, a pocket quarterback who's cheap and can't move, and you wanted to bring like what New Orleans does basically with Winston and Taysom Hill. He might be someone you could use 10 snaps a game on quarterback draws in the red zone, stuff like that. But that's basically how I would do it.
Even Harbaugh used Cap like that a little bit too when he was first there, But the thing is that I think we both agree that Cap is better than
Oh,
Newman,
absolutely.
Right?
Cap is a second round pick. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Newman would be at best Taysom Hill, and he might not even be that because no one has been Taysom Hill yet.
Look at us agreeing. Look at us agreeing on quarterbacks.
Hey.
What's going on here?
Frederick Peterson says trade for Fitz. You can sign Fitz.
You can sign Fitz. That's the best part.
And draft a quarterback in the top 3 rounds. Let them fight it out. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do, but that's not what they're going to do. That's exactly what I would do.
But and think about it, the money that's saved. You can bring back Verrett. You can bring in people. I wrote an article, on 49ers Gold Mine about why they should try to kick the tires on AJ Boye and see what you can get for him because he's coming off of a year where he had a 6-game suspension. He had two injuries last year. He's only 29, right? And no one's advocating for AJ Boye to be what he was in Jacksonville, but you might be able to get him for nothing, right? But those deals go out of the window when you don't have money to maneuver at all, right? Like and Trent Williams isn't going to take a backloaded deal. Trent wants to get paid now. Why should he, right? And this is the issue with the thought process on Trent and why everything got all crazy. You send a 3 for Trent. You take out the franchise tag language in his contract because you're just like, oh, he's going to come back to be on a discount. And then what happens? Now you're caught under this cap crunch. And if Trent Williams hits free agency, the bag's going to get thrown to him. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
I think it's already over. He's going to hit free agency and he's going to go to the highest bidder. Unless the Niners can get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and free up some cash, I think they're going to say, you know what? He was a rental. We gave up a third. They gave up a third for Emmanuel Sanders. There's precedent. They
can't comp anything back though for Trent because he's I think he's over that 10-year mark, the 10-year accrued mark. Yeah, so they get nothing back when Trent leaves. That is awful.
That's not good. That's not good because with Sanders you get the third round comp pick back and it's almost a wash, right? Yeah. Here's the thing. Precisely. The reason I prefer the Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick to any other thing. To me, Jimmy Garoppolo, 29-year-old quarterback, still needs development. 30 starts, doesn't read the field, turns the ball over. He still needs development. Any quarterback you draft is going to need development. Ryan Fitzpatrick needs no development. Neither does Andy Dalton, Cam Newton. They're exactly who they are, and they're cheaper than any quarterback you take in round 1. To me, that's the ultimate in 2021 in this cap crunch year. A guy who is ready to go, who's a backup, but has a ton of experience and is cheaper than the rookies. I think you can go somewhere with that just because other teams are going to be spending too much money on quarterbacks who either aren't ready to go or just too expensive.
Yeah, and let's just be clear. We wouldn't be trying to crunch these numbers and get under if COVID hadn't ravaged this country.
That's the whole thing.
It's not even like,
it's
I love
changed the playing field.
Right. I love when people talk to me about, oh, you switched up so quickly. Well, circumstances change. Are you trying to build a winning roster or are you trying to be beholden to one guy and kick away valuable assets? That's the part that makes me want to rip my hair out about this thought process.
And when they ask John Lynch about like, well, are you going to extend Jimmy Garoppolo's contract? He'll say, nah, we don't have to do that. And we'll be like, well, you're low on cap space. He'll be like, no, we're not. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to lose Trent Williams and Jason Verrett because of Jimmy Garoppolo. And he'll be like, that's fine. That was the plan. What are you talking about? Niner fans are not that stupid. I'm sorry. No, they know what's going on.
No,
because of us. Let's talk
about that. I would say that they're one of the most informed fan bases. I learn a lot from a lot of the people, the ones that don't yell at me on Twitter.
All right, let's talk Watson. We have a comment here. Mm-hmm. Would a Watson trade help push the narrative for players' voices? The NFL likes teams to have more power always. What do you think?
I think that's a great point, right? And I think that's another thing of the reason my prediction has not changed since I've been on here the last time. Houston's not going to budge. They will not budge for that reason right there. 2, they're completely inept. And 3, Caserio thinks he's Bill and he wants to prove a point. I don't think they are going to move Watson. They will fine him every single day that he doesn't show up. And remember, you can't waive those anymore. New NFL collective bargaining agreement because the league was trying to stomp out holdouts.
That's right.
Trade demands.
Right. It used to be you'd hold out, they'd fine you, you'd come back, they'd give you the money back. And it was like, hey, all right, no harm, no foul, you're back. Let's water under the bridge, let's move on. They don't do that anymore. Now that's money's gone. Sorry. Against the rules to give it back.
And that's what I'm saying. This is why this is such a great point, right? And I see a lot of complaints about the fact that people don't like the NBA anymore because the players dictate all those things. That's a real concern, I believe, for the NFL, especially for the Houston Texans. They definitely don't want to be told, all right, I'm out of here, trade me. And I think that's a great
then
point.
You have these like certain franchises that are worthless, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they're just they're a poverty franchise. That's right. It. When Andre Johnson never says anything ever,
nice about
saying
you.
Things. Yeah. Come on.
That's true. All right. So my question about this, I mean, I know you said they're not going to trade him. They're definitely not going to trade him before June 1. Mm-mm. And after June 1, I don't know if they'll answer calls. They should. I mean, honestly, the guy doesn't want to play for you. You should get a
boatload. You can get a boatload for Deshaun Watson. Why are you being so stupid about this? I swear.
So I'm saying, look, I think since they know they can't move him before June 1, they're creating the perception that they're not going to move him just to you ever see that South Park where Cartman buys the amusement park and says no one can go and it makes everyone want to go to the amusement? It's like that. It's like you can't come. You can't have Deshaun Watson. And then everyone's like, oh, I really need him now. And then it's like June 1 happens. It's like, all right, we'll answer the phone. That's a
great comp. That's a great comp because then he winds up letting a few people in because the rides break down. He has to pay for. That's a great episode. And
I compare everything to South Park basically. So look, let's say they're doing that, and June 1 they magically answer the phone. The Niners need to call. And so, what is the offer that they should make? I know what my offer is. Do you want to say? Do you have one, or do you have one?
I really don't. I mean, it would be a player. It'd be one of those three guys that were mentioned by Miyoko.
And let me throw out what mine is, and you tell me if it's too much or too little.
Go ahead.
To me, it's Nick Bosa. I think that's the Niners' #1 trade asset, except for maybe Kyle Shanahan. Nick Bosa, the first-round pick in 2022, since this is a post-June 1 move, not the first-round pick this year, and a conditional pick in 2023 that becomes a first-rounder if the Niners go to the Super Bowl with Watson in 2021 or 2022. Is that enough?
It sounds good to me, and I think you're right about what you're saying about Bosa being the most valuable trade asset, right? Because he's still coming off the injury, and people still believe that he's just about to snap back into 2019 form.
And he's young, and he's
He can, he might not. Those are very valid concerns, but yes, he is the one that has the most value out of all of them, right? I don't think that's enough to get it done. I really don't. Wow. I really don't. Houston. I
wouldn't go any further than that. If they say no, that's fine. Good luck, man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Houston is waiting for, like, just like you said, we don't, you're not available. He's not available. He's not available. All right, we'll give you 7 first-round picks and 8 players. All right, yeah, now, so.
Yeah, okay, great.
Right. Yeah. I think that they think that that's what's going to happen, and I don't think that's.
I think so too. It might happen if they can get 7-8 assets for Deshaun Watson. They probably win the trade. I don't think in a salary capped league with that you have to have 53 players on your roster that it's really ever smart to trade that many assets. The reason I like my trade proposal is it's just 3, and it's the 3 best assets I can give other than Kyle Shanahan. The first 2, basically. Bosa first and a potential first if Watson does what everyone expects him to do. He doesn't have to win the Super Bowl, just makes it to the Super Bowl. Again, the other thing would be the Texans would have to accept Bosa as is. No physical, nothing like that, because he's not going to pass a physical anytime soon. You have to believe in Bosa. And again, if you don't want him, go ahead. Take the Panthers poo-poo platter of terrible picks or whatever and have fun. I don't know. I think they need a guy like Nick Bosa to replace J.J. Watt.
Yeah, they're gonna back themselves into a weird corner. Like, this is not anywhere near being done. But I'm just gonna stick with what I've been saying about Houston not budging and just they're just not gonna budge until push comes to shove. Honestly, at this point,
I think you're right. Frederick says, as good as Watson is, he isn't worth what a team would have to give up. Draft picks are too important. I basically agree. I don't want to give up more than a couple picks for him because if you get him, you're going to be building your team with draft picks. And again,
his cap hit is astronomical next year.
It's crazy. So it's a salary cap league. Those draft picks are basically your lifeblood. And if you don't have them, you fall apart. I'm curious to see what happens with the Rams. I think that whole operation is going to fall apart in a few years and everyone's going to have to leave. It's going to be like scorched earth. It's going to be like.
That's why me and you agree with the McVay thing. Trade all those picks. I don't care. I'm not going to be here. I might win a Super Bowl though.
Peace. Yeah.
And I might win a Super Bowl in a year or two. And that's it. Once I win my Super Bowl, everybody's going to want me as their coach. I mean, if they don't already at this point.
Yeah. So if the Niners call up for Watson, they should be offering as few assets as possible. That means you offer the good ones, 2 firsts or a first and a conditional in both. If it doesn't get it done, hey man, good luck. Good luck, Houston. I sincerely hope you get all those assets. And if some team gives up 6 or 7, you're crazy. I'm sorry. You're crazy. Just get Justin Fields instead.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple of more. Okay, we got a couple of more. This is John Lynch stuff. Why is John Lynch the one doing all the talking right now instead of Kyle Shanahan? I mean, John Lynch doesn't talk that much, and all of a sudden he's everywhere.
Because Kyle is so blunt, and they're probably afraid of him saying something, man. Like,
I totally agree. He can't lie. No one believes him when he says he likes Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like he just can't lie.
No, he's bad at it, right? And look, again, this is why John Lynch was brought here, right? He was brought here to be player face, played in the league, Hall of Famer, very well spoken, very smart guy.
Media guy. 10 years.
Right. They know exactly what they're doing when they're saying when he's like, I'm going on the radio. Perfect. You know exactly what you're getting from him.
It's trained.
Kyle goes on the radio. He might not say something that's glowing, but he might not say something that's gonna be like it'll be interpreted wrong.
He might go off script. He says too much, man. He just can't help himself. He'll be like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. But if you, it's like I remember Austin Powers 2, Will Ferrell's stupid character, where you had to ask if you asked him something 3 times.
Damn it, 3 times. Yeah.
Damn it. It's like you asked me. Okay, I hate Jimmy Garoppolo. You forced me. Yeah, that's pretty much what he's like.
Yeah, I mean, and then if you let Coach talk a bunch and he just goes off on his tangent, he's gonna let something slip, and that's I think what it is more than anything. So yeah, I mean, it's the right thing to do. You brought John here for this. Why not use him for this?
To me, it's like he has done nothing since he got his extension. He was gone all season, but I guess it's not his place to talk during the year. That's Kyle Shanahan's team, and now it's the off season, and he's finally making his money. I like to see him try. I mean, when I'm not saying he got, but when Fox NFL posted the winning percentage, all the quarterback, I was like, nice, John, way to pull strings.
I'm glad that you're noticing that stuff. Why? So why all of a sudden is Colin Cowherd, who's in Fox, all of a sudden now posturing and saying all that about Jimmy Garoppolo when we can pull up something that he said 3 weeks earlier about he's done, he's out, they didn't want him. And guess what? All that stuff is leaked, guys. All those guys take money to say stuff. I don't understand why you guys hold them in such high esteem. If somebody came to me and said, I'll give you 5 bands to say that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Russell Wilson, I'll do it. I'll get right on the radio and say Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Russell Wilson. What are you talking about?
I'll do it while working. No problem. I will throw it back while we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. So John Lynch, it's interesting to see what he brings to the table. It's his media connections.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And you can just see because these guys are backtracking on things that they said weeks ago. And it's not just Colin Cowherd.
The best one is Chris Sims, man. The best one is Chris Sims.
Chris Sims looked like he was in a hostage situation.
Yes, he did.
Like he's looking down and he's like, yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, a lot of people in the league might rank him top 2. I would. I mean, a lot of people might say he's top 10.
Yeah, I've got him at top 12. Like it's like I'm like, are you reading? Are you reading?
Man, I guess once you get Kyle Shanahan's initials tattooed on your ankle, there's some things you got to do. It's like in The Godfather. It's like even The Godfather's like, hey, man, there's going to be a day when I come to you for a favor. That day may never come, but if it does, and it came, the day came. It's like Chris Sims killed he was too blunt. He was too honest. He ranked him 22nd and was freaking right. And everyone connects the dots. It's like, well, Chris Sims is Kyle Shanahan's best friend. He wouldn't have said that if Kyle didn't feel that way. And they're right. It's so transparent. Football fans are so smart. They know exactly how the industry works, and I love it. Okay, last question. John Lynch says what the Niners need, not a new starting quarterback, a better backup, or they need to be more prepared in the case that Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured. How do you interpret that?
I hate it. So you know the guy's going to get injured? That was the part of that really, like, I was just like, what?
Like Dr.
What? Yeah. Like, dude.
Sorry.
We need to shore up the back end because if he's not there, so you already kind of have in your mind a percentage that he's going to get hurt again.
Yes.
You're paying $27 million to a guy that you don't know can play?
Yeah.
That's the nugget that you need from that.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on, bro, dude?
I want to give John Lynch the benefit of the doubt that he was posturing here too. And I'm trying to read into this because it's too stupid to actually take on at face value. So he's not stupid. What is he doing here? I'm trying to think what he may be doing is saying, look, I know I'm saying all this baloney about Jimmy G. You know, it's not true. We're not extending his deal. I'm coming here saying what I got to say, but the code is we're still going to get a new quarterback. You know, we still could trade up for Justin Fields. Like, don't be surprised if we make something like we could get a guy like Cam Newton. We're going to bring in another quarterback, and we're not going to label it as competition. We're going to say we need a high level backup, but it could be competition. I think that's what he's saying. He's preparing 49er fans subconsciously for the fact that they are going to get a new quarterback.
That's the thing about everything, right? He's preparing you for any and everything. That's it. He's preparing you for, we might just get a guy in free agency. We might just run it back with Jimmy. We might just trade up for a guy.
All of the above.
I don't understand how people are so definitive. Like, oh, you guys see what he said? What he said
definitely means this. Yeah.
Yeah, what he said lends more to what we've been saying than anything, I think.
Yeah, the thing is when one of these guys says something, it means nothing. It can be interpreted all kind of ways. But I'm just saying, like, to me, he's definitely leaving open the door or suggesting, like, we're going to get a serious backup. We're going to get a serious new quarter. It's not going to be CJ Beathard. It's not going to be Nick Mullins. It's not going to be Josh Rosen. There is going to be someone new, probably a rookie, maybe with that 12th pick. That's how I'm interpreting it. But again, I could be way wrong. That's maybe what he wants me to think.
And if the backup is Fitz, I genuinely get concerned that he will outplay Jimmy Garoppolo.
If the backup is Fitz, he's going to Nick. Here's the thing. The reason I've always been so high on Nick Mullins is he always outplays Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good practice quarterback. He's always had this it factor when the games start. That's what they've always said about him. No question about it. Because with Nick Mullins' case, he can get a little tight during the game. I mean, that first overthrow against Philly is it was the first thing you pop. It's like
the wheels went off the rails after that.
No doubt. And Jimmy like is the opposite. Like he could care less when he's on. I don't care. He could throw a pick like look at his face. His face is like.
That's good though. I mean, honestly, you need to have a short memory like that, and you need to go right back to gunslinger. So I will say that he's a gamer. There's certain guys that are gamers, and there's certain guys that are practice players. That's it.
But Fitzpatrick's a gamer as well, and I get the feeling he's also pretty good in practice. So God forbid the Niners bring in someone who can actually compete with. I mean, Andy Dalton might beat him out. I've seen this guy for years.
All right, that one is the one.
I've never seen Andy Dalton practice, but
I'm getting scared about that one. That one's the one that makes me really nervous. The Dalton one. I get what you're saying because it's cheaper, right? And his game is closer to Garoppolo's, right? Like it's almost the same thing. You kind of know what you're getting. There's something about him that is just like, I don't think, I mean, again, though, I should say this though, because I said it earlier. You shouldn't be looking to win a Super Bowl if Andy Dalton's your starting quarterback.
No, it's the hair. It's the hair too. I mean, he's the Red Rocket. It's always got to be the hair. Name me one ginger who's ever been a successful quarterback in the NFL. Can't do it. I mean, you just can't. So sorry. It's the ginger rule.
The ginger rule.
The ginger episode of South Park is definitely one of the best ones.
Dude, I can't believe you're a South Park fan like that, man.
I love South Park. I've seen all the episodes, man. My mom wouldn't let me watch it when I was in like 4th, 5th grade.
Me neither.
So by the time I got to middle school, I used to tape the episodes so I could like basically memorize them. Jesse says, my scenario drafts Slater at 12. I'm cool with that. Let Trent walk. I'm cool with that. Sign Villanueva. Ooh, so we're replacing Lynchy too. Now you got my attention. My question: can you kick McFloppy inside? Hell no,
you can't.
He's absolutely too tall. Not.
He's too tall to play guard. That's the issue. He's already too high at tackle. Exactly. You know, in his technique. Yeah. So you
better off moving him to tight end.
What the thing with Slater is that I think he's going to drop because people are whispering that short arm thing, and really? He has short arms. You know
how short?
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't tell you, but I know that's the narrative right now out on him. And again, when we talk about draft quarterbacks and things like that, there's things being leaked about every single player in this draft. The draft drop stock. So like this is what we're talking about when we say smoke screens. People are paid to say things. People were paid to hype up Mac Jones at the Senior Bowl, even though he wasn't good. Even though I am coming around to him, I'll give you that. I am coming around to him a little bit more. I really am.
I'm on a roller coaster with him. I like his anticipation, but I can't get over the fact that he has 0+ traits. 0. Not
That's
one.
the thing, right? That's always been my complaint that he's safe. But you shouldn't take that as a
not
as
his
a,
size,
as a
not his mobility, not his arm. I mean, that's why when I was on last night with this dude Jesse Naylor, he compared him to Matt Leinart, and I was like, oh, I see that. I know exactly what you mean. You know, Leinart was the man at USC, and he threw downfield. He looked great, but when he got to the NFL, he was like, oh my God, his traits are so mediocre. It's gonna and he failed. But that was the only reason he failed. He was like not committed. He told teams when coming out that he was going to be a crossover star, that he was going to be an actor as well. I don't think that was the right approach, Matt.
He had one good half against Chicago when Dennis Green.
When they let him off the hook.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that. It was so good. You know, I interviewed Dennis Green like 2 months before he died. I got him on the phone. I was doing a story. I was pitching to Sports Illustrated about the West Coast offense that they never took. And I interviewed Sam Weish, all the old Bill Walsh disciples. And I had him on the phone for 15 minutes and I had the recording and I deleted it. And he was so helpful. He went through all the stuff about what makes the West Coast offense, and the 3-step drop and the 5-step drop. And he died 2 months later. It was a very weird feeling, but I mean, at least I got to talk to him before he died. Also, I talked to Keith Fonhorst. He was the right tackle or one of the tackles in the Niners back in the 80s. I called him the day that Dwight Clark died. I wanted to get a quote from one of his teammates, and he hadn't heard. So I broke the news to Keith Fonhorst, and then a few weeks later, Keith Fonhorst died. It was the craziest thing. I don't know how we got to this, but it was things I remember about. Things I remember.
And that's the thing, like, this kind of leads to what I was talking about, right? You said you learned something from Dennis Green, right?
Yes.
What I do when I talk with people, and I talk with people who are smarter than I am, or people who have played the game, I pick their brain. That's why that Cam video with that kid was so disturbing, because it's like, dude, no matter what you think about where he is now, that's an NFL MVP. If you're not sitting there trying to take notes and try to pick that man's brain, I don't understand what you're doing. So, the idea when I get in front of these guys, I talk to, let's say I talk to a player, let's say I talk to somebody in the front office, anything like that, I'm going to sit there and listen. I'm trying to listen and I'm trying to learn. And that's what it should be. And that's what it should always boil down to. Nobody knows everything. And if you're not trying to get better, you're going to get worse.
The thing about that Cam Newton thing, I was impressed with Cam in that.
Yeah, me too. He did everything right.
Yeah, a lot of athletes might have lost their cool, cursed out a kid. And he actually, I might have too.
I would have his ass out. I'd have been like, get out.
Get out. He made it a teachable moment for that kid. I thought Cam looked like a real mature leader. And I had this perception of him because I covered him during the Super Bowl when he was like 25. I thought he was a straight up diva. I mean,
that's his worst moment.
Yeah, I always, like, the whole week leading up, he seemed like a diva. And then when he lost, I didn't like the way he handled it. And that was my perception of him. He was a young man. To see him now at 31, I was like, oh, he really has matured. And now I've been more into the idea of bringing him in as a bridge one season guy, because I was like, you know what? Maybe he actually has been written off too soon. Maybe he could benefit from being on a team with playmakers, and maybe he's matured. I don't know. He's not particularly athletic. I mean, particularly accurate, but his completion percentage the last 2 seasons when he's been healthy have been very high. So maybe he has matured a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. And I've been a Cam defender since day one, right? Because people jump on Cam for anything. And this is what I was talking about painting him as a villain all the time.
People jump on black quarterbacks for anything.
Thank you for saying that. But that's my thing. It's just like, dude, the whole time going into that Super Bowl, I had been defending him. He was crazy dancing all year, doing his thing. He was out of his mind. He won MVP, deserved it. Absolutely. 15-1, but you have to show more grace there at that moment. That was the time where I was like, man, now I can't defend you now, because that's something that you
and it defined him. It was his moment on the big stage. He's never going to make it back. It defined him. So it was interesting. Like, I wasn't even checking in on, I don't care about Cam Newton's maturity. It's like you're yesterday's news. But to see that, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't think he had that in him. He's clearly, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo, it took a lot of poise to do that. He seemed like, I don't know if I could have done that. And I'm older than Cam Newton. That was very, very impressive. And it looked like, this is a guy who could be a coach later. He has that kind of, it's like, I don't want to ruin this kid's life. I'm going to make this a good moment for him, and he'll respect me more for it. I really like that. And if the Niners bring in Cam, I wouldn't be against it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not against it either. It's just, I listed them out. So Fitz, Cam, and Dalton, I'd say.
I'm with you on that. Should the Niners pick up Chris Olave in the year's draft if he's still available?
I'd love that. There's a lot of great receivers. Yeah, there's a lot of great receivers. Rondell Moore met with the 49ers too. He's another name that's out there. There's a few. Amari Rodgers is somebody that could be had later on. There's a lot of good receivers in this class. Marquez Stevenson. There's some guys here. So I'm not against it. That's not a pressing need in my mind.
Yeah, it's not.
But if you bring in a guy and he's cost controlled, right? We've seen, unfortunately, as much as I love him, Debo can't stay on the field either. And
the thing about Olave, what I've seen, is that he seems like a lot like a Pettis type of receiver. Like, not that that's a bad thing. It's just like it's all
alligator
finesse.
arm over the middle.
No. Just intense. The upside is the route running and the finesse, and I think the Niners have kind of evolved away from that. They got scared off by Dante Pettis, and they look for the guys who are big bruisers after the catch, almost guys who break tackles.
That's a good point. I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like that's it, right? So like Debo, Ayuk, those guys are yards after the catch. So I think he's learned
Olave's
from that assessment.
Yeah. He's really good, though. He just reminds me of like a good Dante Pettis. His route running is sick. He's super good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good.
If Atlanta trades up to 2 to get Wilson, do they have to let me play week 1 at what? Sidney Curry?
They have to let him play. So I think he typed let him play. Yeah, let him play, and then change it to do they have to let him play week 1 and let Ryan walk? The problem is that if they cut Matt Ryan, that dead cap is gross. Right? Do you have that up? Like what it is?
Hold on, let me get that real quick. I think he's more movable after June 1.
Right.
Like all these guys are.
Right. Like everything's after June 1 and anything like that. But there's like, he has a massive cap number. They could sit and let him learn. That wouldn't be the worst thing for Zach Wilson to learn behind Matt Ryan in an offense that he's going to be in, which is a Shanahan style offense with Arthur Smith. So it's not the worst thing in the world to have that happen. I just don't know the cap numbers and how flexible they would have to be when it came to something like that. You pulling it up?
Dude says clean shaven Grant is way more harsh. The reason I'm clean shaven is I usually just shave with like a clipper thing, but it broke halfway through, like 10 minutes before I was supposed to go live. So what would you do? I didn't have a choice. I do feel like I look 18 right now. I had to go full. So I feel like I look 18. That's why I don't go baby face because I get carded still. I'm like, man, I'm 33. Come on.
Yeah,
stop.
Happens to me. It doesn't happen anymore, because I go to the liquor store with a mask on now, and nobody's checking IDs. It could be I could be 17. Nobody would know.
That is hella true. All right, man. I gotta let Jason go. It's been an hour. He's always very generous with his time. Jason, thank you very much. Did you get some new subscribers on your YouTube channel this week?
I did. I think and we could let it out here. I think next week I'm pulling together a pretty big roundtable with a lot of heavy hitters from 49ers Twitter. So that could help a lot too. And I'm talking about you. So
I'm trying to get on that.
Yeah, so that should be fun. I'm in the process of pulling it all together and making sure the schedules work. But yeah, I mean everything's been good over here. Same thing with the podcast, and just waiting for news to break on quarterbacks and just having people yell at me on Twitter. It's been really fun.
See, if you guys don't know about Jason Apani, he is the most popular man in 49ers Twitter. Everyone likes
about that.
Everyone likes Jason, and so what Jason can do is he can bring people together.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. That's cool. I'm looking forward to going that roundtable.
I've made friends from everywhere, on here. So I'll say that. I don't know if I'm the most liked, but I've made some friends. Just
if someone doesn't like you, I don't trust that person.
I would say the same, but also the jerk never knows he's the jerk, right? So like I can't really.
Hey, before we go, just show people your shirt real quick.
Oh yeah, cool. Rick James, fired up. I wish my daughter would walk in. She'd point to it and just say Rick James.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week, probably the same time, same place, Niners Coast to Coast. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.